would you be willing to comment a bit on the war on coal?
Oh. Well, that's very bad politics. That war on coal phrase is exploitive and irresponsible. It condenses essentially a very complex matter into a very quotable falsehood. There is no war on coal. Poor Hillary Clinton came here and made the worst possible mistake, what she said about putting coal miners out of work. Tanya and I finally quit the Sierra Club because partly because they put a caricature of a coal miner with soot on his face and coal dust flying off of him and so on, as if he were the villain. Mm-hmm. But the way I would get at that is that the people who are hollering about the war on coal are the same bunch who have allowed that section of the country to be a one economy region and to be ruined by its one economy. A very useful exercise is to think of Night Comes to the Cumberlands, published in 1963, brought the war on poverty to eastern Kentucky, but here all the warriors on poverty came in to cure the poverty of the people while they let the coal industry go ahead destroying the ground under their feet. It won't work. There was an admirable little group up there called the Appalachian Group to Save the Land and the People, and I loved that. The name of the organization, and I took it to heart, and I've never forgotten it. You mustn't ever, in your thinking, separate the land and the people. They've got to be thought of at the same time. Yeah, so the resource that eastern Kentucky has left is the forest, and nobody's talking about it. There were articles in the New York Times about the efforts to rehabilitate and save eastern Kentucky. Never mentioned the forest, never mentioned the streams, never really mentioned the people. They're just people who need jobs. Mm-hmm. And so they're talking about highways and internet access and blah, blah, blah. And if they don't think about the land and what the land can do for the people and what the people can do for the land, it'll go on.
So what do you see as the most hopeful outlook for eastern Kentucky?
Well, I think they've got to start thinking about the land. Not a lot of eastern Kentucky is farmable, but there are valley bottoms and gentle slopes and so on where food can be produced. The idea that they'd be shipping that food out into the general market is preposterous. They ought to be feeding the people there. And there you see that would add jobs in the form of real work that people could be interested in and would be dignified by. And then there's the forest. And the forest is being badly treated all over the state. My forest ecologist friend Bill Martin says that probably not 10% of it is being well used, well cared for. What I see of logging in my end of the Kentucky River Valley is horrible. They're not only tearing the forest up with their skidders and dragging the trees out whole and that sort of thing, but the forest is leaving the state either as raw logs or rough lumber. So that needs to be thought about. This state is half forested, 400 and some odd thousand acres, and it's fragmented. Another big problem. The average holding, I think, is 16 acres. And you can't have a forest that way. You can't preserve it that way. And if you think of it, in any rural area, a lot of that forest is owned by absentees, maybe in 20 or 30 shares if the estates haven't been settled. But they don't care about it. They're not here. And so what to do becomes a very big question. But we need local inventories. What's here? Wes Jackson and I have talked on the telephone quite a lot about a set of questions that could be a great college curriculum. What's here? What used to be here? What's happened to cause the difference, because there's always going to be a difference? What ought to be here? And you see the departmental walls would begin to crumble as you ask those questions, because no department could answer any of them. But we do need to be looking around. We need local inventories. What's here? What's here in the way of arable land? What's here in the way of grazable land? What's here in the way of forested land? What needs to be done to treat it in the best way? Who owns it? That sort of thing. And this is fundamental work, and it needs to be done. What are the populations of the native animals, birds, insects, plants? What's the native plant community of a woodland in Boyle County?